3. Hi everyone, I'm here with Jean and Timothy lmseth, and we're all here for the last episode of Jean's Decode number 17, which is equals to Q. And we're going to cover some stuff very quickly. I also, didn't have any video this morning, so everyone, hopefully we can see this video that I wanted everyone to see about the 50 over ATMs that were exploded. Okay, here we go. Ready? Go.
Arrested. Investigators say he had enough dynamite in his car at the time to blow up at least 4 ATMs. The explosion caught on camera only takes a matter of seconds. Abu Dhabi police released a surveillance video that shows a man lighting an explosive and blowing up an ATM.
You guys can see that, right?
Yes.
Police say the machine was empty. Officers also released these still images from the crime, hoping someone will recognize the man captured on video. This is the second ATM attack in Abu Dhabi, but in Philadelphia, there have been dozens.
Approximately 50 ATM machines, 50 ATM machines, have been damaged or opened via the use of explosives. As best we can determine at the moment, the vast majority of these machines were damaged or opened by the use of M250 to M100 illegal explosive devices.
Philadelphia Police Commissioner Danielle Outlaw says this is a dangerous crime that could lead to criminals badly injured.
Gina, are you there? Can you hear?
Yes.
Okay.
Don't have money in them, and we encourage those businesses that do have these private ATMs outside of the businesses or inside to ensure that the money is removed.
Across the city, dozens of similar scenes have played out. Attorney General Josh Shapiro says one suspect, Khalid Crump, has been arrested for selling homemade dynamite in Philadelphia. He was busted during an undercover online investigation, and police say he allegedly tried to sell the dynamite to undercover agents.
Mr. Crump, who bragged on social media that using dynamite was better than bullets for robbing an ATM, offered up explicit instructions on how to best set dynamite up to blow up an ATM.
We should remind you this is still an active investigation, and it's not clear if all the incidents are connected. That suspect has been charged with a number of crimes, including possessing weapons of mass destruction and making terroristic threats. Sorry.
Okay, great.
Okay, so that's the guy that was blowing up the ATMs. And we're going to go to the Q post. If you guys want to take one of them each, starting with this one. If Tim, do you want to read the pro-America versus anti-American shadow presidency thing?
Sure. This is Q Post 4397. The headline is Pro-America versus, oops, you'd scroll a little too quick there.
Okay, sorry. Ready?
I was still at the top.
Oh, you're at the top. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Q Post 4397, Pro-America versus Anti-America. Shadow presidency, shadow government, insurgency, irregular warfare. Q.
You got that?
I think
You got
4158. I think this was published on May 8, 2020, 3:09 p.m. The swamp runs deep. They want you divided. They want you labeled by race, religion, class, sex, and so forth. Divided, you are weak. No collective power. Divided, you attack each other and miss the true target, them. MSDNC projection regarding scope and size meant to instill fear in basic. Follow the pack mentality. Psych 101. Echo chamber. Groupthink. If majority thinks XYZ, XYZ must be true. Pro-America versus anti-America. Reobtain power by any means necessary. Prevent public exposure of truth. Prevent accountability. Your life means nothing to them. Sheep. You are a vote when it matters and a dollar sign when it does not. Stand strong. Stand together. Humanity is good. Unity is humanity. Unity is peace. Be strong in the Lord. Pray for strength. Pray for guidance. Pray for America. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes.
Any
Cute.
comments? Any comments? Yeah.
Yeah, I think Tim and I both have had experience with XYZ. If the majority thinks XYZ, then XYZ must be true, where they don't think, the majority of people don't think that children are being rescued, that it's a bunch of lies, it's a psyop like Cusalarp. They don't think there's dumbs being taken out, like the guy that attacked me and Rick Lace just lately, because I had an infiltrator come in and put fake stuff in my Decode, and then that person, they're working together, and then this other person with the YouTube attacks me exactly on that information put in. And Tim's familiar with his work with Field, I'm sure, where you get infiltrators to take you apart and make you look like a fool and make the public believe that nothing's happening, because what they believe, then that must be true if that's the majority, right, Tim?
That's right, Gene. Typically, it's like, what's the old saying? There's actually a saying that if the crowd is doing it, it's probably wrong. And it also talks about in the Bible, those who enter the kingdom of heaven, when you're walking in that direction, don't follow the crowd. Go through the what is it called in the Bible? The thin gate, the narrow gate.
The narrow gate, yeah.
Only a few are going to walk through that narrow gate. So being part of the crowd, folks, is not what you want to be part of. You want to use your critical thinking and the Holy Spirit, and it'll tell you where to go.
Yeah, exactly, Tim. It's like one of my favorite people of all time was Mark Twain. And he said, if you're following the masses, you're highly likely going over a cliff, like a bunch of lemmings, right? And so, in the Bible, it says that it's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than a rich man to enter heaven, because of all the temptations and evil. And says these people sell themselves off for all these riches and powers. We can see why that is, because they've literally sold themselves off to the devil for wealth and power. And it's, the only way for them to get back to heaven is through repentance. And they're not, if they're worshiping Satan, they're not going to do that. And they're not going to want anybody to believe, people like Tim and I, that children are being rescued out of dumbs, that dumbs even exist. Like the guy said, yeah, there's dumbs. There's a few public and a few secret, but not every earthquake. And I never said it's every earthquake. I said, where you see earthquakes where I told you dumbs are, if you look at the earthquakes and see, you don't see P waves, you only see S, that's man-made. You don't have the deep waves, they're just surface waves. Those are explosions. It's the same thing. People look at these reports that Tim's doing with the children and they go, yeah, he's only one guy. Do you really think, and where's the troops and where's the kids? And we don't see these things. We don't see hardly anything in the mainstream media. Come on, what are we going to see? It's a bunch of controlled talking heads. We're not going to see, you don't even see from Iraq and all these ops. You don't see bodies coming back. Always, the last time we saw that was Vietnam, when they wanted people to see it, to make protests again, like they're doing now.
And I got so many comments that I had to block of people saying there's no such thing as a Pentagon pedophile task force. It's just like really crazy. These people like going out of their way to like make those comments. It's really crazy.
Well, and what's interesting about that, Kirsten, is like Gene just mentioned. Gene said about the camel going through the head of the needle. More likely can a camel go through the head of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven.
Right.
And our enemy, they know that that's true. And, you just mentioned the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force, and this is kind of a funny thing on our end at this point,
right,
is they have been desperately, they have, hordes of them are calling the Pentagon, they're calling the FBI, and what they're doing is they're trying to figure out how we're being funded.
right.
And because they can't believe that somebody would give up their own money. Essentially, they can't believe that somebody would privately fund this, so we could stay off the radar and of the bad guys. Because what they'll do is they'll move in and cut off your funding. They'll use whatever powers they have. So it is very rare that a rich man could enter the kingdom of heaven, but it is possible, because I'm going to tell you, I know a couple of them.
And you know what is really funny? It's like not like from your video, Tim. It's not like you're staying at a swanky 5-star hotel. You're roughing it. You're going on the thing. That being said, I forgot to do the commercial, guys. So I really need to do this. So I'm going to click on here. Do you see this in the background now? Do you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I got to do this. A lot of folks have lost hope recently. There's a lot of despair and sleepless nights. With the stock market returning 10% since this, only minus 10% since the end of the year, it's at the beginning of the year, it's looking dismal. But it does not have to. Crazy as it sounds, gold has actually gained about 15%. That's 25% more bang of buck for you. So you should try to protect your interests with precious metal gold, silver, palladium, and platinum IRAs. 877-646-5347. That is the sponsor. And you can look at this right here, right now, and we'll get back to it right now. Okay, so we're back. Okay, I'm going to read this one now, okay, because I got to deal with the crazy Nancy Pelosi. She's monkey see, monkey do. So she saw Trump carrying a Bible, and now she's carrying a Bible. I mean, really, I'm shocked. And she read from the Bible. I'm shocked she didn't burst into flames because she's pure evil. It's like really crazy. All right, so POTUS walked to church. MSDNC POTUS cleared peaceful protesters using tear gas and rubber bullets, attack on humanity, etc. Did that really happen? We don't know about that for sure. I don't think they would have used any kind of tear gas because none of the cops were wearing masks to protect themselves from the tear gas. MSDNC Pelosi Dems are the one with the people and the Black community. Protesters reaching out for her hand, peaceful. POTUS hosts Bible, MSDNC fake pictures of Hitler holding the Bible. That was pushed by Deborah Messing from Will and Grace. She had that fake picture and the picture of Trump holding the Bible and Hitler holding the Bible. So she needs to be prosecuted for trying to overtake the government, which is the Trump administration. She really needs to go to jail. Pelosi holds Bible, MSDNC Pelosi. Dems are a blessing for our Black communities. Attempt to divide and control. Okay, let's keep going to the next one.
But
Okay,
you know, like Tim was saying with wealthy people, we know one wealthy person. I mean, we have people like George Soros funding all these riots and Antifa, but we know one really amazing billionaire.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
We just saw a picture of him holding a Bible.
Right, and
that's what I was saying is there are a few, Gene. There's a couple of those camels that are going to enter through the head of that needle, but not very many.
Not very many.
And that billionaire has lost up to $2 billion since he became president.
So, he didn't even take any pay. He donates his pay to charity.
Right, and he's lost money. Okay, here we go. We have this one. St. Louis DA Kim Gardner is providing a safe zone for Antifa rioters. She's releasing all of them from jail. Why? So they can go back to their respective states. And same as what they're doing in Oregon, what they're doing in California. They're releasing them from jail. There's not even any bail, I don't think. New York City, DC, Dallas, wherever. The guy in Dallas, I think, might have died, the one that they attacked, and that was on video. And they're releasing all of the attackers, but I think Trump's got a lead on this one. Okay, now it's Tim's turn again. The swamp runs deep. Here you go. Right here, this one.
Okay. This is Q Post 4400. The swamp runs deep, reference to General Swamp Dog Mattis. This was published on the 3rd of June, 2020 at 8:21 p.m. It shows a tweet by President Donald Trump, and it says, "I'm draining the swamp, and the swamp is trying to fight back. Don't worry, we will win. The swamp runs deep. Q."
Okay, so the actual tweet was that Barack Obama and I have something in common. that we both fired General Mattis. Okay. And
Oh, yeah.
of course, we have John Brennan was tweeting on top of that, you know, saying how dare Trump say all this stuff. And I said, who is tweeting this? I know John Brennan was arrested on 4/6, which is May the 6th. Who is behind this tweet attacking Trump? And no response, of course. But we don't know who's behind those tweets because we don't see anyone. Anyone could be behind anyone's tweet. So wake up, people. Okay, here we go. Jean, Black Lives Matter. Okay, here. Jean, are you there?
Q post 4401. Black Lives Matter. Only during election years, in parentheses, D's way to manipulate the black vote. This was posted on, wasn't quite finished.
Okay, it doesn't matter. You guys are doing the long way.
We'll go back to when it was, but here's a graph showing, not exactly sure because you're too far. Black Lives Matter, summer 2016, election 2016, summer 2020. So you can see spikes just prior to the votes.
Right, and I'm gonna go back now so you guys can see back to the post. Okay, so here we go.
So this post was 12:51:36 p.m. on the 4th of June 2020. And we have a link here that Kirsten just went to with this chart that we saw. Scroll up, please, Kirsten.
Okay, scroll up.
Yes.
Okay, next one.
No, the other way.
Oh, down. Okay.
Yeah. And then I think we have a second link. Do you see a pattern?
Okay,
so
hold
we're
on.
looking at the pattern of the votes compared to the activity in regards to Black Lives Matter and when they care about blacks at all. It's pretty
Okay,
much,
so there's a little spike right there where
Mhm.
the election was, and there's a big,
right.
yeah, there you go.
Comparing Google Trends with the voting pattern when they're trending on Google and when the vote comes in for presidential votes. That's the only time, like Q had said earlier, the only time you matter to them is a $sign or for your vote.
That's true. That's true. Okay, so now we have this. Oh, this is a huge one. Too bad you get the
one
long.
to the next of it.
You get the long one. Who wants
Yeah,
to
you have a
take?
small one there to the next to that, Kirsten.
Okay, wait, hold on. Which one is that?
Scroll up.
Scroll down, you mean?
Yeah, scroll down. Make it go the other way.
This one?
No, go all the way to the top.
You mean go up, further up, right?
Yes,
Right.
scroll up. Hmm.
That one I'm talking about. The three Donald Trumps. This one.
No, keep going. Keep going. There you go. Soros Trump will disappear in 2020 or even sooner. Q4402 for June 2020, 101:13 p.m. Demons continue to serve the devil in his attempt to lead the world away from God and into sin. There's a Twitter link. You can click on that, Kirsten.
Okay.
Trump will disappear in 2020 or even sooner. George Soros, wake up, America.
Danger to the world, but I regard it as a purely temporary phenomenon that will disappear in 2020 or even sooner. I consider the Trump administration a danger to the world, but I regard it as a purely temporary phenomenon that will disappear in 2020 or even sooner. I consider the Trump administration.
Yeah, okay, we heard enough. That's enough.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, he's we don't know if that's the clone or him because that's
Sounds and looks like a really poor clone. I mean, it's like a croaking frog that can barely talk.
his,
like,
his
wow.
skin is peeling off his face, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Okay, so who wants to take this long one? Want to breach the White House and capture a horrifying moment for optics gold? Here we go.
I can.
Go ahead.
Who's
Jim.
going to do it?
Yeah.
All right. This is Q Post 4403. They want to breach the White House and capture a horrifying moment for optics goal. I'm going to now read a tweet by President Donald J. Trump. Great job last night at the White House by the U.S. Secret Service. They were not only totally professional, but very cool. I was inside, watched every move, and couldn't have felt more safe. They let the protesters scream and rant as much as they wanted, but whenever someone got too frisky or out of line, they would quickly come down on them hard. Didn't know what hit them. The front line was replaced with fresh agents like magic. Big crowd, professionally organized, but nobody came too close to breaching the fence. If they had, they would have been greeted with some most vicious dogs and most ominous weapons I have ever seen. That's when people would have been really badly hurt, at least. Many Secret Service agents just waiting for action. We put the young ones on the front lines, sir. They love it. And good practice. As you saw last night, they were very cool and very professional. Never let it get out of hand. Thank you. On the bad side, the DC mayor, Muriel Bowser, who is always looking for money and help, wouldn't let the DC police get involved. Not their job. Nice.
Yeah, that's true of all of the blue states. It seems they are telling the police to, stay back. They're telling them to back off. And that's why all the riots have been occurring. They're all in collusion. They're all probably making money off all the rioting and all the stores getting broken into and all the businesses that are being destroyed. They're just doing it. And then they also said in the former Q post that Trump was busy hiding in his bunker under the White House, and Trump was actually in the Situation Room watching the situation, the same Situation Room where they had the supercomputer, the hammer that was surveilling Trump, Ted Cruz, and many others in real time with Hillary, Barack Obama, Clapper, Brennan, all of them in that room. So he was in that same Situation Room viewing the situation. He wasn't cowering in the bunker because he was afraid. They lie about everything.
I think
Okay. Yes.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Chief.
There's more of that post.
This one?
Yeah, the one that Tim was reading, I think there's more below that.
Okay. All right. So let's click on this. What happens if a breach occurs? Breaking DC Mayor Muriel Bauer criticizes fencing around the White House. That's the people's house. It's sad commentary that the house and its inhabitants have to be walled off. We should want the White House to be opened up for all people to be able to access it from all sides. So yeah, so they can attack him. Is that it?
Yeah.
Do you want to hear her
SBM.
talking? Okay. Okay, let's expose this one.
Both sides. I just had that conversation with some of my team. And I'm one of those people who grew up in Washington, D.C., and has been very accustomed to being able to have access to all of our federal facilities. Growing up on the Capitol grounds, our Congresswoman had to push back from not allowing playing on the Capitol, from being able to walk all around the Supreme Court, to walk in front of the White House, on both sides. And now all of that is under threat. I'm also concerned that some of the hardening that they're doing may be not just temporary. And so we would also have to push back from that. So keep in mind that that's the people's house. It's a sad commentary that the house and its inhabitants have to be walled off.
Inhabitants, not inhabitants.
We should want the White House to be opened up for people to be able to access it from all sides. And I dare say that looking at traffic management permanently is also important.
Okay, and that was so the two assassins yesterday could get into the White House and do their
Right,
thing.
yeah. What if
Yeah.
she's a fake, disingenuous fraud?
Yeah, and I bet, like all these mayors that go in and come out millionaires, and they go in with nowhere near that. You can bet that their house has some pretty serious fencing around it.
That's right. And I was actually talking to a very high level source that I have communications with. And you mentioned, Kirsten, about the blue states, how this all seems to be happening in the blue states.
Right.
And I was told that that the liberal governors, I think the governors are liberal because they are involved in trafficking. So that's what I was told, which we all know.
Yeah.
And so, and it's like Gene said, that's why they come out millionaires. They're selling babies and children and anything else they can peddle.
Right. And of course, you know, when El Chapo was in court in Brooklyn, he exposed two names, that would be Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff, that he gave hundreds of millions of dollars to. And Nancy Pelosi also ended up meeting his wife in Italy last year when she went to get the immunity shot for COVID-19. That is when they closed his court case down to the public, when he mentioned those two names. So he was giving them hundreds of millions of dollars for the child trafficking from south of the border, and also the drug trafficking. And she has made millions upon millions, 400 million from her insider trading of Visa stock, and 150 million from the selling North Korean missiles that she talked about, and of course the child trafficking and drug running and gun running across the border to keep the borders open. So yes, she is definitely a criminal. And here we have goal, the result or achievement towards effort is directed, aim, end, the terminal point of a race. That's the goal. Okay, so if you guys have anything else, here we go. Okay, what happens if a breach occurs at the White House? Attempts coordinated to capture a horrifying moment. And then what happens then? Heavy protect White House previously. POTUS warning meant to push rational thought. Peaceful protesters. Previous coordinated anarchist. Anarchy 1999. I don't know what that is. Push to victory. White House breach. Guys have any comments?
Yeah, Anarchy 99 is part of, I believe it's an offshoot of Antifa, which is another group that call themselves Anarchy 99.
And I think Trump and the Patriots have all the names and everything of the people in Antifa that they're getting ready to.
Yeah, like those people, and of course they're making money by blowing up the ATMs, and those people that are doing that don't realize that some of those street cams have what's called facial recognition, like they have in China, where even if you're wearing a mask that has penetrating, where they can penetrate the mask and see the face underneath and through a mask, so they can actually know who that is, even with their mask on.
Right. Okay, we have a link to a new Q drop. Gene, do you want to take this one?
Sure, link to new Q drop.
They love your voice and they love Tim's voice, but they really hate the sound of my voice because I read
Yeah.
like a 7-year-old. Okay, seven.
Yeah.
I read like a 7-year-old. Okay, go ahead.
You're the eye candy, Kirsten.
Yeah, right. I'm always exhausted when I come and do these Q drops. Oh my God. Okay.
So Q4404 for June 2020, 3:16:58 p.m. Link to new Q drop. We have a few Q links here, and what it says: important to understand what happens if a breach occurs at the White House. Attempts brackets coordinated to capture a horrifying moment. What happens then? Heavy protect White House previously. POTUS warning meant to push rational thought. Peaceful protesters. Previous coordinated anarchist. Anarchy 99 in brackets. Push to victory. White House breach in brackets. Q. So we have some links when Kirsten is situated here that Kirsten can go to.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead. So I'm going to click on
The top one there.
the top
Next
one
top,
first.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Oh, that's that same Mario browser from DC, right? Curfew. Says there will not be a curfew in district tonight as protests over the death of George Floyd are expected to continue. But then she's released all of the people from jail. And the bottom line is this: why did they release the criminals from jail? Because they're the ones that are helping do the riots. That's why they released all the criminals from jail. That makes sense. That all makes sense now, that they released all the criminals from jail to help with the riots. That really makes a lot of sense. And now she doesn't want a curfew. Interesting. And then we have, okay, we have this one. Is this it? Okay. The Hill with Pelosi demands Trump clarify deployment of unidentified law enforcement to DC so they can know what they're up against. Speaker Pelosi on Thursday demanded that President Trump provide a list of agencies involved in deploying law enforcement officers around DC in response to the crowds of demonstrators protesting police brutality. Some of the officers policing protests in the city in recent days have been without any identifying labels on their uniforms. They were undercover on the, yeah, and she wants all of their names and all of their numbers so they can be found out. Right, okay. In a letter to Trump, she wrote, okay, yeah, she does everything to try to get him. Okay, here we go. We have dictionary and I don't know what this is. Goal. Okay, we already covered the goals. And okay, let's go on to the next. Okay, what happens then? Heavy protect White House previously protest warning meant to push rational thought. Peaceful protesters, previous coordinated anarchists. Okay, that one we already covered. That one we covered. What am I doing now? Okay, so
we're done. We're caught up.
We're done. Okay, so let's go over to this. I promised this lady, and Tim's got this, that I was going to read her little thing. So let's get on to this. Okay, I'm going to read it real quick, and Tim's already got this. And she's like really, Tim's already sent it to the higher ups, right? You've sent this thing to the higher ups.
Yes, I did. Yes. Okay.
Dear Kirsten W., I watch your channel and enjoy it very much. I'm writing in regards to Timothy Homeseth's testimony from May 30th, 2020. It was made for me. We recently lived in Canada on a work permit, and during that time, the Canadian government abducted my daughter, at the time in my home state, North Dakota. Heidi Heitkamp, or Heidi Hitler, was senator. She and her staff refused to help us. We did recover our child against all odds after 2 years on technicality. Our work permit was expiring, and Immigration Canada was going to deport us. Our daughter was let go. However, the Canadians were in the process of selling her back to the U.S., selling her back, not sending her back, selling her back to the U.S. in a privately funded adoption, which we thwarted. My child most likely would have been MK Ultra'd or sex trafficked. She was physically assaulted and medically trafficked for 2 years in Canada. What does that mean when she says medically trafficked, Tim?
Medically trafficked.
Oh, that probably means she was on drugs and they had her. They pimped her out.
Often, what that means is that the child is being trafficked for bodily fluids like blood, for one example. They can also do spinal taps and get bone marrow and things like that. So they're using the child as a medical supply bag, like they do with, it's possible, and we don't know. You'd have to look with MRI that she could have lost a kidney. They do with serious medical trafficking. They'll take one of the kidneys too. And so that's, and then of course the sex trafficking as well. So she was physically assaulted and medically trafficked for 2 years in Canada. They took our family through a private court process that had no rule of law under family law and took our parental rights, just like Timothy described. It's only now under President Trump that I can hope to get justice for my family. Strangely, I have an uncle who worked at the Pentagon. He's retired now, but was in the Air Force and flew in the Vietnam War. I also have a brother who attended West Point but dropped out. Or was recruited out and works in DC and does drug mapping. At least that's his story. Unfortunately, both are black hats and absolutely no help to my family. Back to Timothy. I grew up in Grand Forks, North Dakota, and lived across the Red River from East Grand Forks,
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Thank you. I don't know that. I don't know all the symbols yet. I knew everything he talked about, especially the young boy. Jacob Wetterling, who was murdered at age 11 by his father. That murder haunted our entire community for many years. I thought about Jacob often when my son was born in 1994. I would like to ask of you to please forward my email to Timothy. My family needs an American attorney and our representative to take measures against the Ministry of Children and Family Development. They are known for trafficking and for the terror of British Columbia, Canada. We need someone that is not corrupted in their network. It's only now, at this time in our history, under the Trump administration, that we could go in under his authority and get results. Timothy may know or have knowledge of individuals that are white hats lawyers or someone that I don't know about. I really don't want to burden either of you. I hope it's not too much trouble to ask. The cancer of child abduction and trafficking is woven into many aspects of our world and takes all of us to eradicate it. I have sent you a donation for your time and efforts. It's under the name of I Appreciate You. I currently live in a suburb next to Minneapolis, Minnesota. I can't ask for help from the likes. I can't ask for help from the likes of Governor Tim Walz. He is 100% complicit in takedown of our city. Thank you, JB.
Okay, her name's Jane. Okay, by the way. Okay. All right. And she also sent me this, and I sent it to go through my George Nassif guy. You know, George Nassif, Gene knows, is the guy that legally hacks everything for the Department of Justice. He's the one that got General Moore to confirm the arrest of Comey and release with an ankle bracelet for 5. We have Page and Strzok and Clapper. Clapper was giving his interview from a tiny room, and for 6 was Brennan. And they said that the one that gave the interview was most probably clone, and it was weird because Brennan never smiles, and that guy, when he gave his interview, was smiling from ear to ear. So this is what she sent me, and George says this is bogus because he has in his hacking, which is legal because it's for the Justice Department. Rudy Giuliani gets information for him. I should have all 3 of you do a show, which is going to be amazing, but he's just recovering from heart surgery. And he said that this video is bogus, but we can kind of look at it for a moment, but he said it's bogus. I was thinking, oh no, they're going to bring in this after this weekend, the 2 weeks of darkness, and this is this little video that Jane sent.
National quarantine coming. We're going to look over this right now. So this is something that was sent to me via Facebook Messenger. We're going to go over what it says right here. Homeland Security preparing to mobilize the National Guard, preparing to dispatch them across the United States along with the military. They will also call in first responders. They are preparing to announce a nationwide 2-week quarantine for all citizens.
Can you guys hear?
All businesses closed.
Can you guys
Faintly.
hear? Okay.
They will
Let me
announce
turn it up.
as soon as they have troops in place to help prevent looters and rioters. They will announce before the end of the weekend. Within 48 to 72 hours, the president will invoke what is called the Stafford Act. the president will invoke what is called the Stafford
He's already
Act.
done that.
The president will order a 2-week mandatory quarantine for the nation. Stock up on whatever you need to make sure you have a 2-week supply of everything. Please forward to your friends and family. I just wanted to let you know.
Okay, so this is a bogus thing that's going around. I thought it was the what, it's 3 days of darkness, you know, no, slow to no internet. What else? We have a TV running in increments of 8-hour programming, and of course, your phone only calls 911. It doesn't call anyone. So I have made guesses on this so many times that I'm not going to make any more guesses. That's why I sent it to George to confirm Mr. Wiener laptop, Mr. hacking of Susan Rice, and in connection with Obamagate. He gave me all the paperwork that you can see in my videos. Also, you know, the confirmation from General Moore, who is top thing. So yes, George should be doing the show soon, so you guys can talk to him. He's amazing. He's got all of these hack things that he's tried to get, what's his name, the guy from WikiLeaks, Julian Assange, released, but because he has everything from the Wiener laptop, but they haven't struck a deal yet. So that's what's going on. So, I mean, I don't know. It's not 100%. I mean, I guess George says it's no, but I don't know. We still haven't had that 2 weeks of darkness. Do you guys have any comments?
Well, I have talked to some of my contacts in the intelligence community, and I am told that actually that is, at the very least, that is being considered, what you just saw there.
Right.
And the amount of days I was told was 4 to 14. 4 to 14 days. So I think the whole thing is fluid. I think it's fluid, and we're in the middle of a war. So decisions are being made in real time. I heard 4 to 14 days. I did hear stock up, but I don't want to incite panic, you know, but I also heard that that the arrests may be done at this time, or some vital arrests may be done during this time.
Yeah, I think I have a feeling, you know, Gene and I couldn't find the pictures where he sent me of CIA operative Susan Rice and her little protege, you know, Eric Ciala, which we can't say his name, who's the fake whistleblower, not the real one. The real one is Alexei Vindman. And Gene, do you have any comments on that, on Susan Rice, Ambassador Susan Rice, or shall we say Sam Rice or Sam Powers? They all could be originally male.
I mean,
Gene.
it's so weird how the movie stars and all these singers and these public figures.
Oh, Lady
like
Boy Gaga. Yeah.
They never like what sex their God made them. They always, if they're female, they always change to and act like they're males, and if they're males, they want to be females. I'm like, what's wrong with how God made you? I mean, it's perfect. So why do we have to go changing things? So Sam Rice, and you look at the pictures on that we did earlier on Kirsten's show. I mean, wow, that's just a guy with long hair and lipstick. It's pretty obvious, but you know. I'm okay. Whatever you want to do with your body is up to you. But you know what I'm looking at with Rice is what laws and what things backing and what kind of agendas you're backing and how that affects the people and how are you really representing and doing the job you were assigned to do? Are you working for the deep state? And so that's my primary issue: is what are you involved in? And what do you represent? And you should be representing what you were assigned to do under the law and not underneath a cabal.
Yeah, I mean, I have her or his, whatever. I have his counts here of on the indictments on that person, which is Mr. whoever Rice, Susan Rice, okay? We have, yeah, we have interesting indictments on that. Some of them we don't understand what they exactly are, because it deals with international, because she was colluding with the UK to take Trump out. So of course we have we already read Comey's, I think, a while ago. And here we go. Ambassador Susan or Sam Rice, 3 illegal use of government system. This is with the paperwork from George Nassif that shows that as soon as this was exposed, that the guy in charge of what is it, MI6 stepped down, Hannigan or whatever his name was, he resigned. And who was in charge of him? That would be the now Prime Minister Boris Johnson. So Boris Johnson must have known something is going on, so he probably flipped. So we have 3 counts of illegal use of government system, 3 counts of perjury, and 1 count of obstruction of justice. So yeah, this person should be the next one arrested. We know all the ones mentioned before. I think Bruce Orr, 3 counts of perjury, 1 count of falsifying documents is the least of the criminals, and the one that has the most is James Comey, 3 counts of colluding to overthrow government. That would be the Donald Trump government. 6 counts of perjury, 4 counts of obstruction of justice, 4 counts of falsifying government docs. And of course, shall we never forget the most evil one, Brennan, who should be hung by the neck till he's dead, because it says he's got 1 count of treason, but it actually should be like more close to 20. How many times has the Trump assassination been happening, Gene? How many is that?
My count right now is 64 attempts, 2 successful removal of Trump clones. But the one that most people remember is the one where he was rushed to Walter Reed and the taste tester died. And Melania also at that time had an issue. And so, you know,
her person was sick too. She got some poison by some perfume or something. It was, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and so Donald Trump had to have his stomach pumped, right?
Right. And so there's 64 attempts in my count so far. I mean, I'm probably not aware of every single one. You have to follow the news pretty close to get every single one.
Yeah, so on Brennan, we have 3 counts of conspiracy to overthrow government, which they all have, 3 counts of lying to Congress, 2 counts of lying to investigator, and only 1 count to commit treason. Why did they push 60-something counts into the 1 count? And 3 counts of obstruction of justice. What's that? That's like, you know, 1 count for 64. That's really taking it easy on that person. It's really, yeah. So so now we are free to talk about whatever we want to talk about, because this is the 17th and last episode before everyone goes on summer break. And yeah, so Tim thinks that we still might have this, what is it, 4 to 14 days of darkness, which has to happen sooner or later. It has to happen. So, and that would be a good cover, because they're calling in the National Guard right now. And so that would be a good cover to do it, because they have to seize the criminals from their homes because they know where they live. So that's what I think too. But
the way it was explained to me, Kirsten, was I don't think they initially actually planned on this. And what I was told was that that martial law is essentially going to be expedited. They're just going to, because the situation presented itself perfectly, because the military is spread out all over the country, beginning with this COVID-19, but maybe not that as much as the riots.
right.
And so the military's already spread out, and so it's a opportune time to just go ahead and make the major arrests that need to be done.
Right.
That's what I was told.
It's not like they haven't made some major arrests. Go ahead, Gene.
And then with the with the riots, like Tim is saying, again, all those street cams, a lot of them have the facial recognition software where they can penetrate mass. And a lot of these Antifa are Mark Ultra with in-time programming. So they know they have all the NSA and the Hammer that they got control of has the list of all the Mark Ultra marionettes that are throughout every community and every, when I saw the one in Hawaii back in 1990, the listing, it was one person per block in Hawaii. So, and I was told that it's that way throughout the world. And so they know now where all their operatives are, what their names, where their addresses, and they would go, what I'm being told is that possibly how it would work they would go to the locations of those homes and then, peacefully and not violently, but peacefully take the person so that they can get help to get their personalities, from all the torture and things that they were done to them, usually in dumbs, where they would get the personalities and the alters melded back into the original personality that they're born as. And then people who are trained in exorcism would exorcise the demons that they put inside them. And that we would see a lot of healing all over the country because we wouldn't have these people that can be triggered through signals from their phone or keywords over the phone and things like that, so that these people could have a regular life and not be out rioting and looting and killing and stabbing people in the neck like the police officer running over policemen. I mean, really, in reality, the person that's inside there that was the original person doesn't want to be doing this, and they don't enjoy doing this, but that personality is submerged and under control of the other personalities that were created by the satanic ritual abuse. And so these people need our help and need our prayers. And so this going up and rounding these people up under martial law is actually for these people, not just for the community to not have the rioting. It's to help these people that have been, their whole lives have been destroyed by the deep state. They're nothing but, like they say, a monarch, a little monarch puppet controlled by Soros's money and deep state.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, go ahead.
I was just going to say that's right. I think that there's a lot of anger across our nation when people see this, and people get flared up and angry at the people that they see looting and rioting. But like Gene said, they've been many of them are actually programmed to do this. They were tortured when they were small children. And I think what we're going to see is that when this is all over, there's a lot of people who are going to absolutely fall in love with President Trump when they realize who and what he really is, him and his wife.
Right.
Yeah, I fall in love with Tim because by getting these children out of this before they get to adulthood and through all this programming so that they can live a regular life. And the man that, the gentleman that attacked me and pointed out the pictures that were wrong that got put in my video that I assumed were true because I assumed the person was telling me the truth. And so although it's, it is my responsibility actually to be responsible for the content I put out. I had trusted that person, and from now on I'm going to learn how to do reverse imaging. But he pointed out something that, Tim, I'm sure will know, that these thousands, like Ted Gunderson said, over 35,000 a year go missing. And, if it's even 500 a year, or even 5 children a year get taken from their families and turned into ultras, it's 5 too many. So, and then we have this massive adrenochrome usage by many Hollywood stars and political people that are using adrenochrome every day. And I mean, that's a lot of adrenochrome, and we know where that comes from. So all of these children that are being taken, a lot of them are being harvested for adrenochrome. That's a lot of adrenochrome every day. It's not some small 200 or 300 kids to supply all these movie stars and all these politicians using adrenochrome every day. And you can tell they've been using it every day because after 2 years, you're addicted. If you come off, you look like Celine Dion and Johnny Depp. You start wasting away and dying. So they're hooked on it. They've been using a lot every day for years. That's a lot of adrenochrome. It's not a few kids that are missing, okay? You don't get that kind of adrenochrome. And, from the dumbs, the people that I actually have contacting me now because of all the emails I'm getting. I have some emails I'm not allowed to say specifically where or who or what they're doing to keep their safety, because some of them have already lost people in their teams when they go in. That the adrenochrome lockers they're finding, they go into these dumps, and there's times where they see in each wall of the side of the tunnel or a room, they'll have lockers that are 6 to 8 feet tall, stainless steel refrigerator units that are 4 or 5 feet wide with big double doors. They open it up and it's packed full of adrenochrome. The whole thing is solid adrenochrome, walls 100 feet long, all the way down each wall on each side of the tunnel. 100 feet of freezers full of adrenochrome. That's a lot of children to make all that. That's not some small 5 or 10 or even 100 kids. That's a lot of kids were taken out and stolen and harvested for this. And so, you know, the person that's pointing it out about what was wrong with my decode, thank you for that. And then he's questioning the numbers. So it's, you know, instead of questioning the numbers, even if it's 100 kids or 1 kid, it's way too many kids to do this. We should be not aiming at each other and getting upset and cursing and screaming at each other. We should be aiming at the cabal for this to stop and this to end. There's no more need for people like Tim and a Pentagon pedophile task force won't be needed, because this will be done and this won't be happening anymore. We don't have to rescue our children. Our children will be safe like it, you know, should be in the beginning, in the first place. We shouldn't have to be having this situation at all. We need to take responsibility as individuals and stand up against this cabal and not stand up against each other. That's what they want to do. They want us to be divided and to get all upset with each other rather than looking at where the evil really is. Not people like Tim and me who are trying to do the best we can do. We're just one little person here trying to do something to help the world, and to attack us and say, you know, whether or not, you know, what we are, at least we're trying to say something. Even if, you know, if you don't want to believe we are what we are, that's up to you. But what's the message then? It means the message Tim's trying to say is this shouldn't be happening. We shouldn't have to have a Pentagon task force. We shouldn't even have to say there is such a thing. We shouldn't have to say there's a dumps that are being gone. And, you know, all of these dumps and the earthquakes, yeah, I take things and clip it from the USGS site. But if you go look where those earthquakes are and they don't have the P waves and they happen to fall exactly, I mean, a year later where I said there's a dam, now there's tons of earthquakes there and military troop movement there. Wow, that's a pretty unusual coincidence that it happens. Oh, now it's happening at Tonopah. Now it's happening on Vancouver Island. Now it's happening at Saskatoon, Canada. Now it's happening at Dugway Proving Ground. Now it's happening at Salt. Exactly lining up to where the domes on the map that I put out is and where I put them out. It's exactly every single time. At what point, like Q said, does it become mathematically impossible to be a coincidence that the earthquakes, 5,000 earthquakes in a week at Tonopah? That's a lot of earthquakes. I'm not saying that every single earthquake is a dome, like the one, of course, in Yellowstone. Of course, that's not a dome. That's the super volcano. I'm not saying every earthquake on Earth. And Tim is not saying that every child that ever goes missing is not just a runaway that winds coming up back home, like he said. It's not everyone, but if you look at the figures, go look at, you want to find out how many children are missing. The only way to do this is go to the last year's results for the last year. Go back a year ago and find out how many of those children never came back at all. By county, go county by county and figure out in the big counties, the really populated ones like in LA, Chicago, Denver, New York, especially the blue states and those states with high levels of legal immigrants. You're not going to even see those children reported, or the homeless children like in San Francisco, where you have thousands and thousands of homeless children. Those children aren't going to be reported by those people if they go missing. So you have numbers that aren't even be reported in vast volumes, let alone the children that never come back. If you go look at the police reports and get the reports from a year ago, and then figure out per capita in the US what that means, it's a massive number. It's not some number in the hundreds, it's in the thousands.
Well, I'd like to get the number from Tim, his guesstimate of how many children in total. Like, I mean, are we just giving an American number or are we giving a worldwide number? Tim?
Well, at least in regards to the children that I've been told that have been rescued thus far in the United States from underground, is I think that the last I was told it was like 50,000.
Wow.
As far as the numbers of missing children around the world, here's the thing about that, Kirsten. And by the way, you know, Gene, you're talking about the earthquakes. I think it's important to point out. I think it was Matthew 24, where it says there will be earthquakes in various places.
Strange places.
Yeah, the Bible said there's going to be earthquakes. Well, this is what those earthquakes are. Now, regarding the number of children, you know, vanishing, this type of thing, something that the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force that we uncovered, and it took a lot of work. I mean, if you someday, I suppose the world will see our work product and see what the military knows now. But what we uncovered was an entire vast international child trafficking operation. But here's the thing, because we're talking about the numbers, but here's the thing. They set it up. It's run by bar attorneys. It's run by lawyers and judges. And the key thing is everybody's licensed. They're all licensed with the state. So it's licensed police officers, licensed CPS. Everybody's licensed. So they got this entire apparatus set up, and they're all licensed through the Secretary of State. So when they take a child, they have a whole system to do it, and there's nothing the parent can do about it, because they've also got the courts that they drag people into and they fake them out. These are not constitutional courts. So they literally set up an international human trafficking operation where they take children. Now, these aren't going to show up as kidnapped kids, because they move them into foster care. And then the bottom line is they've done it through the Secretary of State. And it's someday when we know the names, and there's already been arrests, but this is worldwide, and it started before World War II. And so they were able to use corporations that were set up at a time when the rules for corporations were completely different. And it's astounding when you see it, especially when you see the names. Like when we did this and it started to unravel, it's sort of like, it's like, oh, you know, it's like it all suddenly starts coming together and you're like, oh my God. And I personally, I came upon a really critical component of this when we were working on it. And I actually got really, really scared. And it takes a lot to scare me anymore, because I've been a target of the deep state for so long. But when I realized what I just found, because then they started moving it through some of our intel and the stuff that was coming back, I'm like, oh my God, what did I just, I mean, I've already had the, oh my God, what did I just find moment anyway, because I uncovered the fact that they were selling kids to the Ukrainian embassy in Washington, D.C., and they've kidnapped me and put me in their jail so many times. You know, I'm a glutton for punishment, but
they're fake jail and they're fake court, right? They did the same thing to what is that? Able Danger. What is
Phil McConnell.
Fake jail, fake court, private jail, private court. It's not an American jail, not a real one, right?
It's right. None of it's constitutional at all. Phil McConnell was just kidnapped off the street in Wisconsin. There's nothing else to say about it. The man was kidnapped. So was I. They came over to my home and they'd knock on the door and who is it? Police. What do you want? You're going to be placed under arrest. Why? You put something on Twitter. Literally, that's what happened. I taped it one time. I taped my own arrest. This is what they did to me. They had no lawful authority under the Constitution of the United States to arrest me. They didn't arrest me. They kidnapped me. You know, and the one time I opened the door and went with them. The second time I wouldn't go. I started saying through the door, I said, "Do you have a warrant?" And he said, "No." You know, but I mean, the only reason I mentioned that is it all comes back to it's private. Those police officers, they're policy enforcers for the corporation of the city of East Grand Forks, Minnesota, or the corporation of Polk County, Minnesota, or the corporation of the state of Minnesota. It's all private. It was all private. And I finally learned after all these court hearings, I finally escaped because these task force members connected to the White House told me what was going on, and I just didn't go back. But I finally realized that the courtroom that I was going into, it wasn't a real courtroom. The judge wasn't really a judge. It's just a woman dressing up in a black robe. And they said, Timmy, if you keep walking back in there, you're just begging them to put you in jail. So I didn't go back, and it ended.
The same thing happened to my other guest, Norman Travesty, in Canada. They knocked on the door. The guy tried to get in, and he says, "Do you have a warrant?" And the guy said, "No, but we're going to get one." And the guy had put his foot in the door, and the Norman Travesty used to be a firefighter. So he kicked the guy's foot out of the door, jamming the door, and pushed him out. And he goes, "If you come back again, you face some fury." In other words, some firepower, and they never came back. So they're trying to see how far they can go.
Can I point something out, Cirsten, though? The fellow you just mentioned, Norm Traversy.
Yeah.
I don't know much about Norm, although something about a hog farm in Canada, but I don't know much about Norm. Right. But there's a fellow who goes by the name of Agent Margaritaville. His actual name is Gerald Brummel. And right. He put a video up one day, and he addressed me. And he brought him and Norm Traversy sat with their arms around each other. Well, this man, Gerald Brummel, began to say all kinds of things about me. But here's the thing. Gerald Brummel he claims to have all this information about child trafficking and sex trafficking and Jeffrey Epstein. And he sent me a lot of things, but Gerald Brummel sent me an email one day. And this is the guy that's sitting with his arm around Norm Traversy. He sent me an email one day, and the email had I think it was 1,000 times in a row, like at the end of the movie, The Shining, when he had just been writing the same thing. He wrote 1,000 times in a row. Gerald Brummel wrote, "They are going to rape your ass, Tim," because he's been threatening me because he's the enemy. That's what I'm saying. Gerald Brummel's the enemy, and he doesn't like what I'm doing, and he said he's going to have me put in prison, and then they're going to rape my ass. They're going to rape me to death, and he actually says things that are so sick, he says that he'll be getting telephone calls, reports from the jail on my rapes. So I just wanted everybody out there to know that proceed with caution with Norm Traversy. I don't know anything about the guy, but he was willing to sit in a video with Gerald Brummel. Well, this sick man, all Gerald Brummel talks about is violent sex. So,
yeah, but is Gerald Brummel American or is he Canadian?
He's Canadian. He's Canadian. He's up there in Canada, and he, in my opinion, look, I know Gerald Brummel's a con man, and he was appearing on Field McConnell's show. Now Field got arrested, and then Gerald Brummel told me that Gerald Brummel's been calling and talking to Field McConnell's lawyer, Howard Sohn, and talking with a whole bunch of members of the Florida judicial community in Broward County. And he told me this. I have it all in writing. Brummel set up a plea deal where if they can get Field McConnell to lie to the FBI about Timothy Homseth, they'll drop all the charges against Field, and Timothy Homseth will get arrested. This guy from Canada composed a plea deal and sent it to Field McConnell's lawyer, and they're having these discussions. I'm the target. I'm the guy that they used my evidence to get Jeffrey Epstein. They got evidence about the Ukraine embassy from me. So I'm the actual target, and this Gerald Brummel character is involved in it. And so I don't know much about Norm Traversy, but hey, Norm, if you're on the up and up, Norm, you need to stop sitting around with Gerald Brummel with your arm around him like that. Not cool, dude.
Yeah, and I would like to have you confront Norm on the show and see what he's up to, because he kept on pounding at me to do an interview. I think he did an interview with my ex-friend, Deplorable McAllister. And so I'm like, okay, because I have a lot of Canadians, but I think that there is a way from the letter that we just read from Jane and all this stuff. I think there's way more corruption and stuff going on in Canada than there might be in America, because they're like, wow.
Well, Kirsten, Gerald Brummel, who calls himself Agent Margaritaville on YouTube, he contacted the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force, and he said he had all this evidence against these government officials, like sex trafficking or whatever, some type of abuse stuff. And and long and short of it, he said he wanted to send it to our task force. And I think he thought he was bluffing. He thought he was bluffing us. Guess what? He was given the contact information of a high-level official who would have received his information. He was told where to send it. His information would have been taken to the headquarters of the Department of Defense. It would have been taken there. He didn't send it. So, yeah. Gerald Brummel, we know who you are. And our guys, the intelligence community, they know who Gerald Brummel is. His days are numbered.
This is like, what do you have to say, Gene? Look, did you hear that this guy wants to have Tim raped and sodomized over and over again? What do you think about that, Gene?
Yeah, I have a lot of comments on what Tim said. And, you know, way back when I first started red pilling, and Officer Jack McGlam put out Operation Vampire Killer 2000 and was talking about these cops and the formation, you know, that led to the formation of all these fake cops and all these fake courts. And I'm looking forward to when Trump, especially when I know he's dealing with the high level stuff right now and cleaning out the big court systems. And I'm looking forward to when it can get down to the county level and the state level and clean out these fake courts that are trying to arrest people like Tim and threaten you and come to your house and arrest you without a warrant and force their way into your home. And I just want to let them know, if they force their way into my home, you won't have to force. If you start pushing my door in, I'll say, don't come in, don't come in, don't come in. I'm trained in hand-to-hand combat, and I have a Beretta 9mm with the clip complete, with the mag completely loaded with one in the chamber. My wife is Annie Oakley with her SIG 9mm. She can put a cluster in your heart from 50 yards out. I can put a cluster that'll blow your heart out the back of your out your back from 6 feet away at rapid fire with my eyes closed. So come on in and force your way into my house. Then I have rights to defend myself. If you're trying to arrest him for what he posted on Twitter, unless it's sedition or treason or threatening against the President of the United States or a threat against somebody, you have the right of freedom of speech. That's constitutional. They're invading your constitutional rights, not only of freedom of speech, but of the right to be life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that your castle is private and your own domain, and that it's literally your castle, your rights, and you're supposed to be safe in your own home. They don't have the right to come in and arrest you. And Jack McGlam was talking about this, and like the kids, and they set up all these fake things where when you can have a missing child, the phone number you call for children is actually the Clinton Foundation. And so they set up the CPS system and all of this, where when you get missing kids, who you call is the people trafficking the kids and the people rescuing kids, like V4CR. There's videos of that person going down on the border of New Mexico and taking out these coyotes and rescuing the kids. And then 2 weeks later, I was shown on the dark web, those same children being auctioned off on the dark web. So these people are tied into this, and they're making it look like they're doing things like Tim's doing, with rescuing children, and they're rescuing children and sending them right back into slavery and selling them out and making money on them 2 times. So I'm looking forward to when Trump cleans all this and the alliance cleans all this out at the low level. And then, like you were talking about, this guy that attacked me and said that he was referencing Kirsten, and he said, but got confused and said it was McAllister, that Kirsten is like used to, as she says, as a friend or whatever. But that, McAllister raised like $8,000 in a day for my computer. And I still haven't had time to set it up, but it was nowhere near that kind of money, people.
Right.
I mean, Kirsty could say how much it is. I don't know exactly what she sent to Rick. I mean, what she raised is what she raised.
Yeah,
I mean,
I paid
that's,
for half of the computer, but whatever else, I sent it to Rick and gave it to him, whatever he needed. So that was not near 8,000. 8,000 was what Rick raised for you from his. Rick's got 3 times the amount of subscribers, so they get the story completely twisted. So the moral to the story is don't trust Child Protective Services. They are not there to protect your children. They're there to seize them. Don't trust these police and these courts because they're not real. They're fake. And this, I want to end with this. This is some hope for us. So this is from OC Antifa, if you can see it. If you want to read it, either one of you, you're welcome to.
yeah, I'll go ahead and read this. Rick didn't raise me 8,000 for my computer either. It was nowhere near this kind of money. So, you know, Rick raised other monies for other things through the like Backstage, but that's not for my computer.
Okay.
And that's for people joining Backstage to hear, you know, this type of thing where I talk about what's going on in the news. I talk about ways to keep yourself healthy because through my martial arts and things that my instructor told me, if I'm going to take people apart, you need to be able to put them back together. So I learned all kinds of natural ways to have your health and to get your body healthy. And so I do teach all those kind of things and talk about those kind of things, as well as the children and the dumps and that kind of things in a more deeper level where you can't talk about some, like Tim knows, you can't talk about a lot of this on YouTube or your channel just be yanked. Like Kirsten had her channel attacked. Rick's had 2 of his channels attacked. His front channels, Blessed to Teach, is now offline. He's on his backup channel, B2T. They already tried to take that down once. He has a backup channel. I mean, it's ridiculous. And they're demonetizing people and attacking people. And so we don't have freedom of speech. We can't.
No, my channels were suspended. They went for the main channel for 1 week. Then I went to the small channel for 1 week. That was suspended. And now every other day, they're like, this video is dangerous. They slap a sticker on it, enter at your own risk, whatever, over 18, whatever. They're stupid because you guys are doing that. You realize that that would be the Streisand effect. Everyone's going to go try to watch that video now because you slapped that sticker on it. And, you know, I stopped doing your HCQ, which you didn't want me to talk about. Stop mentioning Dr. F. I stopped doing all of the stuff that you didn't want. Then you've gone over to not being able to mention even RIOTERS. Can't even mention that. Can't show video. So the last video, I was happy. It was kind of blank background with no moving video because they're going after that. It's so much stuff. It's like nonstop. But
Yeah.
This is what I'd like to end with because it just gives us some hope. And
so from OC Antifa,
yeah.
Attention Antifa comrades, I mean like communists, right? Today marks the end of an almost 3-year operation. Yes, and I'm glad it's an ending. Our infiltration of your movement was a success, and the faces and identities of everyone who's attended or financially supported Marxist and seditious activities has been recorded. So they did reverse infiltration. Good job, guys.
Go ahead.
The countless, second post below that in this thread, the countless patriots who have lives you have ruined and families you have terrorized will finally be avenged. No longer will the American people tolerate the red terror and subversion of everything we hold dear. We have identified dozens of militants and sympathizers, next part of the thread, in local politicians and academia, including professors at University of California, Irvine, and local DSA officials. The reckoning is here, and you are all going to feel the wrath of a nation who has finally had enough of your games. Enjoy prison.
I love it. This is awesome. So I really like to thank both of you for being here for our last episode. We should do this again. This is number 17, Gene Decode, with Timothy Homseth. And Tim, would you like to tell them if they want to watch more of your content, where to go, and if they want to donate to you directly or whatever, you know?
Oh, I can be found at timothycharleshomseth.com.
No, but you have a YouTube channel, don't you? High Commander or something like that?
Yeah, the task force has a YouTube channel called The High Command.
That's
content-
proof that there is a task force. There you go, because they have a channel. Right.
Right.
There. Yeah. Okay, so thank you so much. And Jean, anything else you have to say?
Yeah, I just want to tell Tim, keep up the good work. Keep the light on the children and that they're rescued and that people's minds are focused on this coming to an end and that we're going to save the children and get them out of these terrible situations and that this is going to come to an end. And for everybody to keep your minds below your feet so that the troops taking this out, and for the people that don't believe it, yeah, when I was telling people about the New World Order and the Illuminati 30 years ago, people said I had a fantasy world. And now it's common knowledge. Oh yeah, we always knew that. And then the same thing with the secret space program. Gene has a fantasy world. And then we have whistleblowers like Corey Good and Emery Smith and William Tompkins. And now people are going, yeah, we know that's true. But now I'm telling them about dumps and they go, Gene has a fantasy world. So here we are, fantasy world. And in 10 years, and just like Tim saying with the children, and now, oh, you guys are a fantasy. You're not real. You're living in your own mind. It's not real. And we're going to find out when Trump gets in the next term towards the end of this. A lot of this is going to come in, and when Ivanka probably is next after that all this is coming out, and we're going to find out what's real. It's probably going to be Ivanka and Candace Owens for the ticket after that. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to people, again, what is my new fantasy 10 years from now? Gene's fantasy world. No, we always knew about dumbs and we always knew about spacecraft. It's just like Tim said, the masses are being led sideways and over a cliff. And we're those of us who are in working with God to bring all the truth forward of what's going on. We're living in a fantasy world. Yeah, it's a fantasy world that's the truth of God and the truth of his son, Jesus Christ, that we stand up for what's right and we don't attack each other, that we're back to back fighting a satanic cabal to bring it to an end. The fantasy is that doesn't exist and that they're not using children, okay? That's the fantasy. Wake up and smell the roses.
Okay, I have something to say. I don't want Ivanka because she's very liberal. Please no Ivanka. Let's have Donald Trump. Donald Trump Jr. because I really can't handle Ivanka.
Okay, I'm okay with Trump Jr. too, but I think you're going to be surprised.
I'm leaving the country like I did when Obama took over. I left the country. I do have another passport, so I'm ready to roll. That being said, don't think I'm crazy when I'm laughing. When I'm laughing, it's because it's so preposterous, because there's fake courts, there's fake judges, there's fake officers, there's, the Child Protective Services is basically child seizure services. They're not protecting your children. Everything is fake. That's why I'm laughing, because it's like almost crazy land. Everything is not real. It's just fake. Everything's fake. That's why I'm laughing. Not because I'm being insensitive or anything, but because it's really, really crazy. Okay? Crazy. All right? So
like you said, think mirror, CPS, child pedophile system.
Right. Really. So MAGA, many getting arrested, can't keep us going. Let's all say this together. Where we go one, we go all.
We go all.
We go all.
God bless Kirsten, Tim. Thank you so much. It's
we got to do this again.
Talk with you, Tim.
Yeah,
God bless you.
We got to do this again after summer because Jean needs a break. And Tim, whenever you want to come on, if you have any information or whatever, you can just email me and you'll be on. Because now you're like my Jean number 2. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
God bless you, folks.
Okay. Bye. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, there you go.